episode of the Kanika Sports Show, everybody. And I am your host, Kenny Time, on that mic. Anytime is Kenny Time, and I am joined on this special Sunday episode by the one, the only, drumroll please, Nika, the producer, everybody. Welcome to the show, Nika.
Hello, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there.
Yes, indeed.
Who is celebrating Mother's Day. Hello to our new and returning listeners, and welcome to our wrestling edition.
Wrestling edition, indeed. We had a Peacock event last night. It was Backlash, and just a little announcement. We have really never done a wrestling episode before. We did one podcast that I think got published when the Royal Rumble was on in January of this year, and we've been wanting to get into it, but unfortunately, this whole video production thing that we started doing got in the way with WrestleMania when I actually wanted to debut the wrestling podcast. So instead, you're getting the backlash of WrestleMania, just like everyone else in WWE is apparently at the moment. And yeah, so that brings us up to speed really quickly, and here we are. We have a Backlash review show. We watched it last night. We took it in, the 5-match card, and our initial reactions are that it was like an okay show. You know, it's always hard, I think, to live up to WrestleMania. It's always hard to follow WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. It's the biggest event.
Is WrestleMania the biggest event all the time?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. I mean, it's the one that it's 2 nights. Now, I know SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights coming up in August because they couldn't wait to tell us. But the WWE Backlash happened last night, and I think for me it felt a little bit flat. And I don't mean to be critical of the product. I just feel like these 5 matches, nothing happened really to change hands. It was just kind of like the leftovers from WrestleMania, it seems like.
It was. Definitely was.
So also only one women's match. And I got to say, as someone that's getting back into wrestling from, the late 90s, early 2000s, and of course my childhood in the late 80s, early 90s, that's where I'm coming from with all of this. I'm a big fan of the women's matches. Like they didn't have a lot of them growing up. They started to have like the Trish Stratuses of the world and become a more prominent feature when I was on the back end of my second stint. Now here in my third stint, 20-some years later, I know, generational. I like the women's matches more. I'm glad that there's more women. So when they have a Peacock event that only has 2 women in it, I think that's a missed opportunity.
Yes, I agree 100% with that.
I mean,
I wish there was more.
One of your favorite things about WWE is the women's costumes, right?
They are fantastic. And knowing that they make them themselves sometimes, it's even more enticing to watch. Yeah, it fell flat on that regard, for sure.
It did. And like I said, so I think having coupled that with the fact that this was the first event after WrestleMania, it was always going to be a tough to live up to kind of thing. So hopefully, now this was only like 3 weeks or so after WrestleMania too, so they didn't wait very long. I'm hopeful that now there's going to be some new, fresh stuff inserted into the product. And so we'll go through that in a little bit, but I guess we'll just kick it off here at the beginning with the U.S. Men's Championship Fatal 4-Way match. This was between Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre, the Scotsman, everybody. And
that was the 4-way match.
This was the Fatal 4-Way match, and I think, according to what I saw on social media, this appears to be one of the highlights of the night for people that took in the product. I think this match got a good start, but it didn't necessarily end very excitingly, if that makes sense. I feel like the Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest rivalry issue that they have with each other kind of became a sideshow spectacle in the context of the greater match. And then they kind of like took themselves out of it. And it just became and ended with a 2-way. Like there was no craziness with all 4 of them at the end. it's kind of like the craziness happened in the middle. McIntyre got screwed over again by Damian Priest, and he dragged the official like away from counting 3, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, he got screwed again, and that's where we were, and they went off and did their own thing, and McIntyre got knocked out, slammed through a table. That's how it always ends for him. I feel like he gets the short end of the stick so much, and like it's like one of these days they got to reward him a little bit, right?
I would hope so.
Oh, because he got screwed in the Royal Rumble when we
Yes,
watched
he
that,
did.
and apparently even like off screen he was upset because he got eliminated too early, and he didn't get to do his full performance for the audience.
I don't blame him. You only get 5 minutes of a spotlight, and then you're gone.
The bigger news, I guess, at the end of the match was that Solo Sikoa and a newcomer, Jeff Cobb, who is from AEW, actually, and that's the rival product on HBO/Max.
But he's also from Japan.
Yeah, he also performed in the Japanese leagues, like where Mick Foley and the likes have performed to great success and popularity. So he might come with a little bit more of a pain tolerance if he comes from Japan, from my experience. I don't know if that's still a thing over there. But getting slammed on tacks was all the rage back in the day.
They didn't have that yesterday.
They did not. They did have the tables and the announcer's booth, which I think is an IKEA kit these days. At least it should be.
But how do they prefer get the tables broken without the cables getting all messed up?
It's magic, Nika.
I
the
guess.
magic of wrestling.
I see. Okay, cool.
Anyways, so they showed up and helped Jacob Fatu secure his victory against LA Knight, though I don't think they really interfered in the ring part of the match too much. They were just more of an enforcer presence on the outside of the ring and a distraction. Nevertheless, they seem to be aligning themselves here with Jacob Fatu, so we'll see what the fallout from all of this is as we move forward in the WWE calendar and the storyline season. But yeah, first match, your thoughts and impressions, Nika, overall?
It was okay. Yeah, it was okay. I didn't have any, I don't know, bones to pick with any of it. I wish it was more entertaining as far as staying in the ring than outside for all 4 of them to be fighting each other.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was okay. It was probably one of the better matches.
It was, and it was considered one of the better matches on social media. I don't know if that's just because of the fact that the other matches fell a little bit flatter or if that's because this really was a good match. But I guess my ending thoughts on this match are that everyone seems to get their little limelight to shine. Like they all got to do their finishers and they all got to have a little bit of a moment, I guess, in this match. And I just hope that they don't do in the finishing moves too much, you know, where it's like they kind of use them too frequently, if you will, and they have less of an impact when they actually land them or perform them in a match.
So how many finishing moves each player has? One or a couple?
It seems like some have a couple and some have one major one, maybe a minor one. You know, it seems like you got to have more than just one these days to be a true superstar. Back in the day, you just had to have one. I mean, you know, Hulk Hogan used to do the leg drop. It was his like signal that the match was coming to an end. You know, Ultimate Warrior would do the press. Of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin would do the stunner. Triple H would do the pedigree. So they all had these finishing moves, and when they nailed them, you knew that the match was over, and you wanted to count along with the ref. 1, 2, 3. And so I just feel like now they all perform their finishers and they kick out too much. And then it just makes me like feel like they lessen the impact of the finishing move.
And extends the fight by itself by that.
So
okay.
All right. Well, moving on, we had our only women's match of the evening next, Nika, and that was Lyra Valkyria over Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and we've seen these two go at it week to week to week on the Raw and SmackDown highlights and all that. They don't like each other.
No, they don't.
At least in the acting world. So they do a good job of selling this rivalry from a verbal standpoint, if we
Well,
will.
even from the fight, because Becky came across as such a psychotic person at the end.
Yeah, so Lyra did pull out the victory here in this match.
She got her
I don't know if
title.
this was a little bit of a surprise or not, because I feel like just knowing who Becky Lynch is married to with Seth Rollins, it's like you got to figure she's gonna want to be a big character at some point, right? And have some gold around her waist, if you will. But she does not get the victory here. Instead, she gets the, I guess, the anointment of the most psychotic woman on WWE right now, as she beat the hell out of Lyra a couple times after the match ended.
I know. It was so.
And it was
messed
like
up.
a sort of a psychotic rant. And again, we see a match. Now, this is an example of where Becky Lynch landed her finisher twice, and twice she wasn't able to get the 3 count. I'm a little bit torn on this one, where it's like, considering what I just said about finishers, because her reaction after the second one especially was so good, and I think maybe the men need to take a little bit of a note. If you're going to perform all these finishers and not get the 3 count on people, you might need to do a better job of selling the shock and surprise from the wrestler's standpoint, like Becky Lynch did. She did such a really good job of selling it last night to me. As far as like her shock, like, oh, I just landed my finisher and I didn't get the 3 count.
Yeah.
And then it happened again. What?
Also, all the women fights was clean fight. There was no chairs, no tables. They couldn't use any of that stuff.
I think she tried to cheat with the chair,
Yeah,
and the
and-
ref even stopped her from getting disqualified. So that was kind of funny that, like, yeah, you're right. There was really no shenanigans, and it was one of the cleaner
Yeah, if you
matches
will.
of the night. So, anyways, good stuff there, and pretty decent wardrobe for both chicks.
Yeah, Becky had a normal outfit, really. You can just wear it if you want to go night on town or
Yeah,
whatever. But
Nothing extravagant like
No.
we saw at WrestleMania with all the women's card, but hopefully at the next event we'll
Yeah,
get some
hopefully.
more extravagant outfits like Nika likes.
Yeah, they are fun.
Absolutely. I'll just end by saying I'm a little bit surprised that Becky Lynch did not win, and I'm just wondering when she's going to get her moment.
Well, they're definitely going to keep going with this rivalry.
Okay.
It
Nika
sells.
says they're going to keep going. We'll wait and see, everybody. Maybe as early as tomorrow night.
Oh, what's tomorrow night?
Well, tomorrow night is Netflix wrestling.
Oh, okay.
So
See who-
we will catch the recap at the end or the morning after. But meantime, we had an intercontinental men's championship match, and this was the shortest match of the night. But that does not mean it was not full of action, actually, because these two put on quite a show in their 9 minutes of ring action. And it was Dominic Mysterio retaining over Penta, everybody. And it looked like El Grande Americana made a little bit of an interference at the end with his little mask. And he has that metal plate, I think, inside of there still that was like put in there at the last event.
Oh, really?
So he knocked out Penta for Dominic Mysterio at the end. And no surprise here. I mean, I didn't expect Dominic Mysterio to lose the belt so quickly after winning it at WrestleMania, and I think he's getting a big push here right now as the Intercontinental title. So he will probably hold it at least through SummerSlam, if not longer.
Yeah, most likely.
But I hope he gets a good opponent to do a longer match with next time, because I feel like he's in way better shape than Penta, and that's why the match was so short. It was only 9 minutes.
They do have nice acrobatics when they do the stunts.
Yeah. So this seems like more of a setup match and nothing like a long-term rivalry that exists between Penta and Dominic here. So hopefully they can dig up somebody good for Dominic to get into a rivalry with next, because I think he needs a good
Rival.
person to work with.
Yeah.
You know, it takes two. And in this case, it takes two to actually work on the script and the content together that you're manufacturing.
Add that with some good writing,
Yeah.
you have a really good show.
Yeah,
those two.
absolutely. All right. Well, the next match, number 4 on the docket, was, of course, Pat McAfee against Gunther. And this match, started after WrestleMania. Apparently, Gunther took issue with some of the commentary during his WrestleMania match, particularly the commentary of Michael Cole, the play-by-play guy. Now, I should note that Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, the Brit, I guess he's British or Australian, I don't know, but he was handling the commentating duties last night with Michael Cole. And Pat McAfee was absent on the broadcast as per usual because he was wrestling against Gunther. And, I mean, this was your high drama matchup of the night. You know, this had been sort of brewing. Of course, Pat McAfee went to bat for his buddy Michael Cole, his broadcast partner. And, yeah, we get this sort of gimmicky, goofy match, I guess.
We did.
This was a pain tolerance measurement for Pat McAfee, or
No
Pat
kidding.
McAfee, I should say. But the match itself was just a little bit longer than the Intercontinental title match. It was 14 minutes, according to the clock.
I think it was too long. It was a bit too long.
Yeah, I think we could have gotten the same point across with half the time. I think you're onto something there. There was a lot of Michael Cole back and forth from the commentator's booth saying, like, come on, end this. Like, he was talking to Gunther in the middle of commentating the match, like,
Okay.
and saying, like, come on, end it already, end it already. McAfee had a few moments where he got in a few shots and the crowd got into it, but mostly he got his ass beat. And
I mean, that was expected.
I was expecting it. I also was kind of expecting him to pull out a win somehow, not of his own making, but just kind of either by dumb sheer
Okay.
luck or a mistake by Gunther or a distraction. Nothing dirty necessarily, you know, because I don't think they would do that to Pat McAfee. But I did expect him to sort of pull out some kind of a win and make Gunther reflect on himself even more. But no, we're not getting that, and I hope this is over and,
I hope
just
so.
we can move on from it because you know, Gunther deserves better. He's
Yeah.
technically skilled and he's pretty decent on the mic from what I've seen. So
I hope it's over. I mean, how long can you continue with this rivalry or this
don't know.
dumb back and
I
forth?
don't know, Nika.
Oh,
We'll see. Do you have that screenshot of Pat McAfee's injuries up there?
yeah.
Man, what a beating he took. Look at that chest. I mean, you say what you want about wrestling, and I know that it's scripted and fake. We acknowledge it here. But the chops are real, man, when they slap each other. Now, they do oil each other up a little bit. And I noticed Pat McAfee had oil on, too, last night. and they will make those slip a little bit more than if you didn't have it on there. But that slap that you hear is real. And, like, you know, you slap somebody like that a few times on the chest, and you're going to leave a mark.
Oh, yeah.
So-
he does look really, really red. Lobster red.
I hope he got a nice check for this match for his injuries, for his pain and suffering at the hands of Gunther's chops. Yeah, fun stuff, fun stuff. All right, well, without further ado, it was time for the main course of this evening, which was, of course, John Cena defending his World Heavyweight Championship against... Who do we got here? Randy Orton, of course, his longtime nemesis. The hometown, well, I was going to say kid, but Randy Orton's not a kid anymore, and neither is John Cena. But they were wrestling in Randy Orton's backyard of St. Louis, and I knew from the get-go that John Cena was going to win this match, and he was going to win in a non-clean
Way.
manner.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what we got here.
Oh, yeah.
Randy Orton, I believe, had pinned John Cena at one point, but the ref was unconscious. Of course he was.
Typical.
So he quote unquote should have won, which means, you know, he can walk out and hold face against his hometown crowd.
Yeah.
But John Cena did get the last laugh. He snuck that title belt into the ring and knocked Randy Orton out cold with it. Of course, he didn't really knock him out cold, but he whacked him across the head with it and pinned him. Just as the ref regained consciousness, and it was a slow 3 count too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And he still was out cold from that title belt shot to the noggin. So yeah, this was your main event, and it was these two guys are not youngsters anymore, but I think they put on a decent enough show for the hometown audience and gave them their money's worth.
The greatest hits.
A 27-minute match of greatest hits, exactly. Lots of finishers executed multiple times and not able to garner a 3 count for multitudes of reasons beyond their control. Knocked out referee, distractions, other shenanigans going on.
There was a lot of shenanigans. A lot.
There was.
But these guys are what, in their 40s?
Oh, both of them, yeah.
So the fight wasn't as fast as probably younger people would fight.
No,
but it was
definitely
entertaining.
Not. It was. And I enjoyed the ending of it. And Cena retained. He won. I was not surprised. He did a little speech afterwards, too, which was bizarre in its own right in the ring. And I don't know what he was trying to communicate about sort of like wanting to be better going forward, but not really admitting that he had done anything wrong. It was a weird little speech here. But the thing got even weirder at the end of the night, Nika. I don't know if you have the video ready to go, but there is a press conference going on with Triple H, and I believe members of the media, like from ESPN and who knows what else. I mean, imagine the sports outlets that cover this stuff now. It's everybody because it's so popular and so huge. But this really gets into an interesting conversation for me to end the show today, because Triple H is doing a press conference with members of the media, and I believe answering like legitimate questions of theirs when John Cena walks in with the championship belt and like just taps him on the shoulder and starts whispering in his ear, like totally interrupting whatever was going on. And then Triple H just abruptly, well, you'll see. Nika, we got the video clip ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear from it.
Sorry, video permission. I'd like to make a statement. Okay. I'll answer that another time. When the greatest of all time steps on stage, you let him do his thing, and I didn't know he was going to be here, but ladies and gentlemen, still 17, John Cena.
That's hilarious. Triple H, I don't know if he wanted to call him the greatest of all time there, considering that he probably considers himself one of the greatest. But here's John Cena on the mic.
Okay, so
Bizarre.
I need to be better with you guys.
Oh?
I need to begin to walk the talk. And if I am the last real champion, and if I am the greatest of all time, in this little time I have left, I shouldn't patronize the people who help the reach of what we do. I should be more accepting and empathetic.
Wow.
In the past, I have not chosen to field any questions because I couldn't get out of my own way. So, I'm going to try to take a step in the right direction. I want to thank you all for being here. We have a pretty intimate group, so I want to make sure everyone gets the time that they have earned.
All right, pause it for 1 second. Thank you. I want to point out that the first time I saw a wrestler participate in a press conference was after WrestleMania 41, actually, when Jey Uso did a press conference with the media. And, you know, it's weird because they're playing a character, but they're getting interviewed like it's reality for them. You know, like it's such a weird thing for me to wrap my head around a little bit, where it's like you're a real journalist, you're assigned to cover the WWE, and you have to interview a bunch of people who are not being themselves and just playing characters. And it's just weird, like crossing of lines, and like it's bizarre to me in and of its own right. It's almost like postmodernism, right? Where like the fake news is actually reality, you know?
Oh, it's like a Orwellian 1984 situation.
I don't know if it's like Orwellian. It's just like you have to suspend your disbelief, and like it's the lines between reality and imagination are being blurred here a little bit, and I think it leads to a bigger context. Let's finish the rest of the clip because there's more I want to say considering what's about to happen.
The time that they have earned. I would now like to open the floor and field all questions.
So here we go.
Please, let's take the first question.
Mona Nawaz at the One Mona. Congratulations on retaining your belt. To elaborate on being kind now. So could you tell us a little bit about your feelings about your match against Randy Orton, and if you guys shared any words just off screen behind the scenes after your match?
Pause it. Do you mind?
No.
Okay, great. That is sounding like a legitimate question to me, right? I mean, it doesn't sound very scripted. It sounds like a typical, like if you were watching a baseball game and they were interviewing a player after the game, they would say like, tell me how you feel. What did you say anything to your teammates? To like what happened? You know, like they would ask them these exact same questions.
They do ask the same questions.
Yeah. So I again, that doesn't seem out of the realm of scripted to me.
Fair enough.
Okay, so you hear somebody start to talk in the background. Let's listen.
I just want to say thank. I want to congratulate you. Hey, JC, John. Hey, dog. Hey, congratulations, man. I am so proud of you. I never gave up. I've always supported you. You know we got a lot of history. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying, dog? I'm so proud of you. Even if people say you suck and can't wrestle.
Oh man, this is crazy.
Ron, that was over the line.
Oh.
You say one more thing, and I promise there'll be repercussions.
But I just wanted to tell you.
He was waiting for that.
Oh man.
I'm out. That's it.
And it's over. Well, that was bizarre, everyone. Like, again, if I'm a journalist in the room right now watching this happen, like, I'm watching something that's obviously being scripted and is not real. And yet I have to go home and or whatever and do a write-up about this as if it was reality. This is getting into a new territory, I feel like, here with sports journalism. That this didn't exist like this growing up. Like, ESPN didn't follow WWE to the point where there was like a press conference after the match that night.
Okay. So that's a new thing. Oh. But do the same thing apply when you have reality TV shows and people have to write stories about that? Like, you know, the survival or the Naked and Afraid. I mean, I don't know. This is more scripted, though. The wrestling is.
It is. And this guy's name is R-Truth, by the way. His name is Ron. I don't know. He's a little bit of a character, and I think he was, you know, obviously playing a little part here in this skit. But this was all done with the intent to make Cena look like a insecure champion, right? Like,
oh yeah,
he's on this farewell tour and he's the last real champion. But deep down, I think his character is in conflict with himself, and this is just helping sell that, right?
Well, I think he is in conflict with himself. He always played the good guy,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
This is the new territory for him.
Yeah, and you know that's the one thing I think WWE moves a lot slower to me than it used to, where it's like. We haven't seen The Rock or heard from The Rock since he kind of forced John Cena to turn heel at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that was the big ending.
Yes.
With the or that was before WrestleMania.
That was before the WrestleMania.
That was to get the WrestleMania match. But then The Rock didn't even show up at WrestleMania.
I don't think he's going to wrestle.
He's not going to wrestle, but I mean, like, he should have a presence,
Okay.
I feel like. So I feel like it's only sooner a matter of time before The Rock reemerges as a figure in this storyline somehow. They can't leave that dangling there, I feel like. So I don't know. The whole Cody Rhodes didn't sell his soul to The Rock, and that's why Cena got the opportunity.
Yeah, they have to bring him back just for that.
Definitely. There's unresolved stuff going on here, and I just feel like that's what's taking a long time to resolve these days because there's so many wrestlers on the roster and more than that it used to be, that and there's less matches, you know, so less gets resolved. Like I feel like a Backlash even 20 years ago would have had, I don't know, at least 8 or 9 matches, not 5, and the matches didn't need to be as long as they were, even though some of these ones were short too. So anyways, yeah, overall it was an entertaining Saturday night.
It was.
Happy to have the entertainment on in the background, no doubt. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see where this is all going, because I don't think we got any real revelations or new storylines or plot twists of any kind. I think everything went kind of according to the way people thought there was going to go. No one that I was reading before the event had any titles changing hands, and that's exactly what happened. So I guess from that standpoint, it was a little bit lackluster to me, because no surprises.
Yeah, there was not.
You know, and the McAfee match was really just drama filler, and he took his beating for it. I'll give him that, but it was still just drama filler. It wasn't like two seasoned professionals doing their thing, providing high octane entertainment to the audience.
Yeah, it was more
all
of a
the
filler.
entertainment value was from the drama of the situation.
Spot on.
All right. Well, so after this, we got next coming up in June. We actually have a 2-event day where we have this Worlds Collide NXT event, which NXT is like the quote unquote minor leagues of WWE. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's where the up and comers start. I think it's where if you get signed to your WWE deal, that's where you're most likely to debut. But yeah, so that's where some of the up-and-comers are going to be. And I'm not really sure what the Worlds Collide event is, whether or not they wrestle with each other or whether or not they get a chance to wrestle some of the WWE main roster people, maybe towards the lower end of the spectrum. Who knows? It's their chance to obviously show off. It's 11:30 a.m. Pacific time start, so that's early morning event for a Peacock event. But the main course comes later on in the evening, which is this Money in the Bank event. And as far as I understand it, because again, I haven't watched wrestling since like Royal Rumble this year. So we're getting caught up all the time, and we're going to be here covering it all for you here on the Kanika Sports Show, at least on a monthly special episode basis for the Peacock special. So expect a June 8th episode for our next WWE. But this is going to feature a ladder match of some kind, where the winner who gets the briefcase that's hanging above the ring will earn a contract inside of that briefcase to cash in for a title opportunity at some point in the future.
Do you have to carry the briefcase with you while you fight?
Well, you might. I'm sure it's probably a storyline thing where like somebody could potentially steal it from you and then you lose it.
Oh.
I could see that happening where it's like it's not, well, finders keepers.
What if you use a handcuffs and you handcuff the suitcase to your arm? You might lose an arm.
You might. Well, we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. That's going to be going down June 7th, a Saturday, about a little less than a month away. So we'll see if they get 5 more matches on the card that day. But yeah, I think
nothing has been announced yet.
Nothing's been announced, and we'll see. I hope we at least get 2 women's matches next time on the schedule, because I feel like it felt unbalanced. And yeah, we don't need filler matches like Pat McAfee against Gunther just for the sake of drama.
Yeah.
You know, like it's better when all of phases exist. Drama, but also high performance and theatricality.
Yes.
So, okay. Well,
but the theater was filled up. The stadium, I'm sorry, in St. Louis. It was what they said, 17,000 people in attendance.
Yeah, it was packed. 17,000 people were there, and I'm sure they had a great time. I've been to these events 20 years ago, but I still had a great time, and so no complaints. I'm sure they all went home satisfied. Nevertheless, I will say that I think they should have done a little bit more for this event. You know, it did leave me not completely satisfied, I guess, you know, and again, could have used another women's match or a title changing hands just to shake it up and just to make it like you need to watch. You know, when nothing happens, it makes people feel like they don't necessarily need to watch.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily how I feel, but I do feel like I could have just watched a recap of this 4-hour event, which is like 15 minutes or something, and gotten the same out of it.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't the revelations we were hoping for, I guess.
All right. Well, we will be following along the Raw, the SmackDown, and leading all the way up to this Money in the Bank event and be back here with a review next month. So we hope to see some new faces when we get there, because I'm sure some new folk are going to check this video out. All right. Well, let us know below if you agree with our review of Backlash. Do you think it was better than we said? Do you think it was great? Do you think it was average, as we are saying? Or do you think it was even worse than we're making it out to be? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think, and let us know what other let us know what else we can bring to the WWE Kanika Sports Show. What else you want to see on it? Let us know.
Wrestling costumes.
You got anything else to add, Nika?
Wrestling costumes.
All right. She wants a wrestling costume. I'll see what my mother-in-law can whip up for me. She's crocheting. Maybe she can crochet me an outfit. All right, Hulkamaniacs. I'm signing off.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great Mother's Day and spend some time with Mom. Give her a shout. She would love to hear from you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Later.